Hey everybody, welcome to Ask Dr. Testosterone, starring Dr. George Tsouliadis and brought to you by his book, The Bible of Bodybuilding 2, over 700 pages full of everything you need to know about training, nutrition, supplementation, and of course, PEDs. That's on Amazon.com. You can pick up your copy of that just in time for Christmas coming up. Great Christmas gift. And while you're shopping on Amazon, get Real Bodybuilding by Ron Harris. What a great book. Now, all the way from Athens, Greece, please welcome Dr. George Tsouliadis. Hey, doctor. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Ron. So wishing you a speedy recovery after the operation.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I just want to walk and drive a car. People are saying, you're worried about your legs shrinking. You're worried you're never going to squat. I'm like, I don't care. At this point, you take everything for granted until it's taken away from you, right? So I just want to walk around normally like I've been doing for 53 years. And drive a car, and then I'll be happy. I don't care if I never leg press 1,000 pounds again, or I don't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
You know, I was coming one day 10 years ago after my leg season, preparing for the Masters, and I was so in bad mood, saying it sucks with low carb, but I have to do this. And the next corner, there was a homeless guy without legs. So you see, this is a contradiction of life.
Yeah. You know that old phrase they say, I cried about having no shoes until I saw a man with no feet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it could always be worse. I have one really good leg, this left leg. So thank God I didn't, because remember like Zach Kahn, the bodybuilder, and Jean-Pierre Fuchs, they tore 2 quads at one time.
I have to tell you, your accident was purely bad luck. It was not the result of your reckless behavior, like I was doing 400 pounds and I broke my disc. It was just you sleep and you torn it was not the result of your heavy duty, okay? Right. So it happens.
Yeah. It didn't happen in the gym. For people who don't understand, I slipped on a wet street, and it was probably the 40th or 50th time I had done that, slipping, and my body just automatically corrects itself and catches all the weight on that right leg. And many times I felt a very sharp pain in my right knee when I did that. And that was the tendon getting strained. And this was like just the last time, and it went boop, it came right off. Shit happens. Anyway, I want to start with a question that this is the 3rd time the gentleman has asked this question. And, you always try to stick to your areas of expertise. If you're not really informed about a subject, you don't really want to speculate or anything, but you're giving it a great shot. And I appreciate it because this is a gentleman who suffers from ulcerative colitis. And I have a special place for those people because my son, Christian, he also has a diagnosis of ulcerative colitis. So I try to help these people out whenever I can. It's a kind of a strange question, I guess, but let's go for it. Greetings to you both. I suffer from ulcerative colitis for the last 11 years, currently on biologics, tofacitinib, I don't know what that is. I'm also on TRT, 250 milligrams a week, and HCG for the last 3 years, even though I'm only 29 years old, due to hypogonadism derived from pyelic inflammation. I've been lifting hard for the last 10 years. I'm also a nutritionist. I have managed to be approximately 240 pounds at 6'1" and approximately 20% body fat, but I think this is the best I can do given this difficult situation. Lifting and living with this disease is extremely hard, severe. Every day, fatigue, blood loss, and pain in ligaments are just some of the difficulties that I'm facing. The thing is, I want to take it up a notch since this will boost my popularity as a nutritionist. And I was thinking of a cycle, including dianabol, anavar, or deca. My doctor, since I'm already on TRT, doesn't have a problem if the doses are reasonable. I would appreciate if you could suggest some possible cycles and give me some tips maybe on how to move through the underground market, since I don't know how to find stuff. Well, the last part, we're not going to tell you where to find steroids, sir. I'm sorry. That we cannot do. But doctor, what do we got? What do you got for this guy as far as what he could add to his TRT safely?
Well, first of all, this guy has to lean out, go from 20% to 10% body fat. That means down to 210 pounds perhaps, if not 200, because being overweight and having more fat and visceral fat brings you more inflammation to an occurring inflammatory disease. We take out the question any kind of pills that may affect the GIT, the colon, because the pills disrupting the intestinal flora, and they can mess up with a good bacteria like the Bacillus acidophilus that improve the digestion, okay, and also have to deal with immunity. So stick with TRT because you're blessed to have TRT. Many people are not able to get prescribed. But now, if you can find legitimate pharmaceutical grade deca, perhaps a little bit, but certainly not on the ground. If your doctor now kind of prescribes you nandrolone for the sake of anemia because you said you're bleeding, okay, go for it, but for a brief period of time. You know, don't take it for granted permanently using the nandrolone. So just this, occasionally nandrolone, 50 milligrams a week, pharma grade always, on and off when your lipids are fine and your liver, but at the moment you're off shape, so you need to get down 10% for the sake of your health, not just for your looks. Mm-hmm. And certainly not something in per os, which is oral, and out of the question also the underground stuff.
I'm glad you brought up the orals because obviously a lot of people, they gravitate toward that as their first choice because they're afraid.
We said that, yeah. I remember when we were discussing the bubble gut 5 years ago, when we first met, okay? Yeah. And I told you one of the reasons of the extended belly is the disruption of the intestinal flora coming out of the pills. I was myself as a fitness competitor in 2000. I was 27 years old. Never touched insulin, never touched J's. And I was during the final 8 weeks before my show, I was 5% at 180. And I was posing at night, you know, in the mirror in my living room, and I said, what the hell? What is this distension coming from? I was taking 20 or 30 windshield pills a day. And also some anavar. I was fucked up. My intestinal flora was a lot of gas. Yep. All right. So we discussed that anabolic steroid pills messes up the intestinal flora, which is something good for digestion and immunity as well.
Yeah, they also, you know, I think Anadrol is infamous for crushing your appetite after a couple of weeks, but I think any oral after a few weeks, it really starts messing me. I feel like
Anadrol, especially, you cannot eat a lot. It fucks up your stomach. You know, many bodybuilders told me that they cannot eat. That's why they prefer the dianabol.
You know, if you can't eat, you're not going to grow. It doesn't matter how many steroids you're on. All right. So thank you for tackling that question, doctor. Let's get into the ones that were posted. So first one, here's a training question. We like these. We like to talk about training. What exercises do you recommend for a person with lower back problems? I have 3 bulged discs in my lower spine. Yes, I'd be herniated discs. So what exercises can I do for my lower back muscles and legs that won't further activate my lower back?
I mean, you should isolate your lower back. When you're doing rolls, go reverse and incline, okay? And your torso, your chest, your pelvis are sitting on the incline. That one was doing right after my surgery. And on an incline, you can do also barbells, okay, the dumbbells. Yep. But you cannot itself stimulate your lower back because it's already bulging. So perhaps maybe hyperextensions. Okay, this 45 degree that you go this way. Yep. Okay, but certainly not good mornings, not deadlifts, no Romania deadlifts, okay? Perhaps you can go to a hyperextension machine and do it more safely when you're sitting properly, okay, down your butt in the pillow. But not many choices. I'm sorry. This is one of the problems that people who get operated, they don't have any more of the Christmas tree because they cannot build thick erector spinae.
Yeah. Yeah, it's you know, you've used a lot of the Panat equipment. A lot of the better gym equipment, they make back pieces with with chest support where you can stimulate the lats perfectly without straining your lower back because you have that support. Because you know, anybody with really bad lower back problems, you're never going to do a heavy barbell bent row again in your life, not safely. You're asking for trouble. So chest support, I always say, like a T-bar row or any of those machines.
Yes, even a T-bar row is always chest support, which is mechanically.
Yeah. Okay. Next one here's a good one. What's the perfect age to start a cycle? And should dianabol be the first cycle or any other dose? And forget about the PCT. We talk about PCT every week. I'm actually sick of talking about it. So yeah, first, perfect age to start a cycle. Is there a perfect age?
Well, listen, from a matter of health, certainly after 20, when you reach up your total height and your spermatogenesis also is not still in you know, in development, because you need to live your puberty and then being as an adult. Then from a training perspective, you need to train at least, I believe, for a couple of years, let's say 5 years, with 5 meals a day, 5 training sessions per week, with something standard, okay? Of course, you may try something, but you're not mature enough. Yeah. All right, you need something to, I mean, to be already mature in order to say, like the farmer. If I don't know the expression in English, but if you don't make the proper adjustments to the field, yeah, you cannot put up the seed in order to grow, okay? So the same with the body, you need to be ready, and ready means maturity. Okay. And density that comes through the years. But I would say after your 20s, but already start lifting since you're 15, for instance. Right. Take supplements also. Don't miss meals, sleep well. Otherwise, you're only going to get the side effects, and then you're going to blame the steroids for not being legit, okay?
How old were you, George, when you did your first cycle?
26, but I was training since I was 16.
Yeah.
And I had already started 3 years the supplements.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I think that's an idea. I was 27. I think that's a good age, mid to late 20s, because you're not a kid anymore. You're still young in your joints and everything. You're still going to make great progress. But I see all these, they're doing like the trend challenge on TikTok, and it's like teenagers, 30 days on trend. How much muscle can
Listen,
you put on?
Listen, if you start with trend, which is #1 weapon, what are you going to use after that? Yeah. So you start with deca, with primo, with testosterone, with ecipos, and then you move to harder drugs, okay? And trend, of course, is the ultimate, along with strong pills, all right? And listen, like Dorian said, unless you're somebody who has a potential and be talented, and you want to challenge yourself with the best of the best, which is the nationals, all right? So there come people in my office that are the nationals, so and they say, I'm not going to have the card in 5 years. What the heck? This guy came out of Mars, you know? There's no, there's no reality in this. So try to test yourself to see how much you bench, and you do gradually use all the supplements, the creatine, and then go to the next level, which is the sex. And certainly dianabol is not something, I would say, it's not a candy. It's a toxic drug used for the off-season. All right. And of course, if you want to use dianabol, check out your liver first, your lipids. Take it easy. Take the prevention supplements along with the pills, and use it when you're already ready to push it the gear, you know?
Like I said, so many people for their first cycle, they want to do pills, orals, because it's easy. You just take a pill, like, boop, you're done. The idea of sticking a needle into them, especially if you have to do it yourself, you don't have a girlfriend or a wife or a friend, you got to stick a needle in. That first time you got to do your own injection, it's tough, man. I can remember sitting there for like an hour, just poking.
If you want to be called a bodybuilder, you should take, whatever it takes. I mean, which is inject yourself, cook your meals, shave your ass, clean your ass, and everything like that. Okay.
Yeah, it's true. All right. Next is another cycle question. What's Dr. T's opinion about an individual who wants to do a couple of cycles? Should that individual blast and cruise, or 1, cycle and PCT, 2, cycle PCT? That's the same thing. What? I think they meant to just say, should they blast and cruise or just do a cycle and PCT? What's the effective way to come off after a blast and cruise? HCG every 3 days, and also include every other day Clomid and Nolvadex for 2 weeks? What doses of Clomid and Nolvadex should we take?
Yeah, I think the most reasonable is to use for 2 months and then come off with a PCT to try to restore your own levels. Because today I had this discussion with somebody. If you want to go cruising with a TRT dose, let's say 250, one day you're going to pay this price because you're going to be sterilized. Otherwise, you need to use HCG for the rest of your life, along with TRT, in order to reserve your fertility, because there's life after bodybuilding one day. Plus, you need to inject yourself all the time between cycles, something that sucks. And you have to take care of your hair loss, your acne, your gyno, okay, your oligospermia, everything. So come off, because I was talking with an Olympia pro this week from Europe that just retired, and he told me he was coming off. He was top 6 Arnold Classic, okay? He was top 6 Olympia, in the 212 class. He's a common. I mean, we both met him last December, and I told him I'm gonna help you when you come off for your TRT protocol, your fertility. He said I was coming off for cycles. I was not blasting for the rest of my life because I was just going to the States. All right, even though he was a supreme talent, 7 years when I met him. So those youngsters are saying, I'm gonna cruise for the. So this is outrageous. So come off, restore your hormones. Perhaps one day you'll never be able to come off, and then you're gonna start negotiating about replacement therapy, but not now.
Yeah, I mean, we hear you talk to guys who are in their 20s who are already on TRT. That's outrageous.
Listen, I know a Greek FBB pro. We both know him. That when he was 20, he said, "I don't want to make a family. I want to be an FBB pro no matter what." Okay, he did. Now he's a pro, but I assume because he never followed a PCT, he cannot have a family today. Okay, he just flat with testosterone coming off. So this is the price you pay. All right. And of course, this obligation that you need to inject yourself once a week with testosterone, but give it a try first. Try the PCT protocols, come off, and see that if after 1 decade or so, you're not able to restart your own production, okay, go for it. But is it worth it to sacrifice your health and your natural production for the sake of this? I think this is too shallow and too reckless.
It's hard for, I think it's hard for most people, especially when they're young, to think about the future. You know, when you're 20 years old, 25 years old, it's like impossible to think of what your life is going to be like when you're 40, 45, 50.
Well,
yeah.
Because they are Instagram people, I mean, they're gym rats for Instagram and not for shows. They believe they're going to become superstars for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you going to make serious money out of it? How much money are you going to spend on this? Are you supreme talent? Challenge yourself and go with the best in the national and see how it goes. Yeah. But not because you want to become a lover boy. You're going to say DRT and blast and things like that. And when the bell rings, or from God, you know, or the doctors, then you're going to regret about it.
True. All right. Geez, next question is also very, very similar. Wow. Can you cycle steroids to reach your genetic potential, then reduce the dose to TRT levels in order to retain the lean muscle gained? I know some of the muscle gained is via mineral retention, but in terms of the dry lean mass, can this be kept with TRT, or you will always need super physiological doses of androgens to maintain the newly built tissue, assuming one is still training, of course?
So I was using steroids for 13 years, and I managed to add 20 pounds of lean mass in 10 years, okay, with super physiological doses and cycle. Yeah. And since I started replacement therapy, I maintained my gains with, let's say, 100 or 150 or 200 milligrams per week. You can maintain your gains. The point is you need to be strict with your diet, with your sleep, with your supplementation, with your training. But frankly, I cannot grow now with 100 milligrams, but still I can retain my physique. Okay, but listen, if you want to go down to the ribs phase, perhaps I'm going to lose some muscle with the HRT protocol that I'm using. Now, the steroids are used when you want to break your genetic potential. You have reached already with everything apart from drugs, and then you're going to go to the next level, okay? And listen, when we are talking about pro level, I heard from somebody who was a pro. He said, when you come off, you're going to go smaller no matter what. All right? That's why I believe that the top names, let's say the top 20 or the top 50 guys, are never coming off. They just use, let's say, 1 ml of testosterone for a brief period of time, clear the receptors, fixing the labs, mainly the biochemicals, the liver, the kidneys, and the heart, and then go again for blasting. You never come completely off. But we are talking about the elites here, the people that make money out of it, and they are top of the top, the cream de la creme, okay? Not for the average Joe.
So, you know, the way people ask me this similar question all the time, and I put it this way: you're not going to be able to keep all the muscle you built with steroids, but you're going to keep some of it. So let's say if you were natural and the biggest you were ever going to get was 200 pounds, but you used steroids and you got yourself to 225 pounds, just making a round number. When you go back to TRT after that, you won't be 200. You might be like 210 or something. You might lose.
Yeah, whatever you gain, you can maintain more or less.
Yeah. So you won't lose everything, but you're never gonna keep everything, but you'll never lose it. You will have more muscle.
I'm telling you, it's not everything up to the drugs only.
Right.
Are you missing meals? Are you skipping training seasons? Are you staying up all night?
Yeah.
Okay, this is 3 parts of the equation. The other is the fourth is the drugs. Many people are using regulatory drugs, but not as good as the doses they're using because they're not doing the rest properly.
Yeah. So, we've seen people that go off steroids and they shrink and it looks.
So Jay Cutler is still a big guy. Jay Cutler is still a big guy, okay?
Jay Cutler's still a big guy.
He just uses 200 milligrams of testosterone. I don't know about perhaps anti-aging GAs, but listen, he's much bigger than some people who are claimed to be pre-professionals,
Right. Oh, I mean, Jay looks great, man. 50 years old. All right. Here's one. I think it's a simple question. Do testosterone boosting herbs work?
Listen, many people come to my office and they're telling me they're using tribbles or maca, the aspartic acid, vitamin D3. And frankly, they have a high total testosterone of 700-800. I'm not sure about the free that works. That reflects on the libido, okay? But listen, if you have an 800 testosterone, you cannot claim that you're gonna have this super gains with a 6-pack unless you inject exogenous amount. Yet you're gonna have a good sex drive and a good mood. Unless you don't train yourself, you cannot take advantage of no matter how much testosterone you have. So train yourself, eat clean, sleep well, use the supplements in order to take the most out of this amount of testosterone that circulates.
So, I mean, do these herbs, the tribulus, the maca, yerba mate, all that stuff, does it work? Would you say they work just a little bit or not at all?
Yeah, they increase in the paper the testosterone. I'm also suggesting this during the PCT protocol to take it. Also ZMA, but don't expect something miraculous, okay? Your testosterone will never climb above the upper barrier.
Next question is about breast implants and training. We love talking about breast implants, don't we? Should women with silicone breast implants avoid chest exercises? Should they avoid bench or dumbbell presses? I've heard bench presses can rupture the implants.
I never heard of that, but I know that it doesn't make any difference when you have an implant then. No matter how much you're going to grow the muscle, which is actually sometimes tore or cut off when the implant is beneath the muscle, it affects it because you need to cut off some pectoralis. So usually they put it above the muscle and it's more sloopy way. Anyway, it doesn't make any difference because just the implant that is the main mass of the chest. Okay. Now when they're natty and they do a lot of chest exercise, they burn off this fat, so it becomes smaller. Actually, they
lose their breasts. They get very small.
Yeah.
I can actually speak on this with authority because my wife has had three breast implant surgeries over the years. She went B. She started with an A, flat as a board. She went from A to B, then B to D, and those are too big. And then she went down to C, and hopefully this is no more breast. So hers were always been under the muscle, not over the muscle. You can always tell over the muscle because you see like a very round outline. That's like most of the women are.
It's more natural under the muscle, but they have to cut off some pectoralis.
Right. So she never. I always. This question came to me many times because I used to train with her. She would only do incline presses because she still has muscle up here because her breasts are down here. So you still have this area around the clavicles that they can build. So I would suggest to any women with breast implants, focus on the upper chest because your lower chest it's an implant anyway. Doesn't matter. Even if you built muscle there, you're never going to see it. So incline presses, because you'll see female bodybuilders with, massive over the muscle breast implants, but they do build up the upper chest with chest training. So I would focus on implants. I've never heard of the rupturing, so I don't know about that, but that would be pretty scary to happen. All right, last one. I didn't give you this question only because I know you know this off the top of your head. How do I fix very low SHBG while on Sustanon? 750 milligrams, and 500 deca. So his SHBG is 8. The
This is
normal.
the result of the extreme use of testosterone, not of much of DECA. But this is the name of the game, and this also boosts the free testosterone. Why to fix it? That's something, I wouldn't say normal, but something reasonable that happens when you're using massive doses. And many people suffer from high SHBG. So what's your problem with that?
He says, I'm not responding. I feel I'm not responding to the androgens as much as I should be. And I have libido and erectile issues, and I'm tired. So, he attributes
How is
that
this
to
possible? Because low SHBG reflects to high free testosterone and perhaps more estradiol. But this is what most people want to do. They want to crush this HBG. Now, if you have libido issues, even though you have low SHBG, try to add some HG and also check out how much of your estradiol and your prolactin. At least this is the only adjustments I could do.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine having a low libido on 750 milligrams of Sustanon a week. That's a good amount. That's a lot of, for me, that's a lot of tests. I know some people do like 2 or 3 grams, but 750 milligrams, 3/4 of a gram is a substantial dose in my opinion. What do I know? Anyway, that's all our questions for this week, Doctor.
Let's think about the ASHA qualification and also the legal rights.
Did you watch? I watched it yesterday. I watched the whole thing.
Listen, of course, perhaps it was, I don't know, I'm a fan of Reagan because I like the whole package. Perhaps the ASHA, the British was, I don't know, looks harder, perhaps more defined. But he had this structure of Dennis Gould with the abs and the torso, and then the last begin from great biceps like Bertel Fox, the other British, good legs. What's the next show? When is the next show now? The other weekend?
We have 3 more shows. 2 of them are in Europe. So we have one in France. I'm sorry, no, we have one next weekend in Spain, the European Pro. Then we have another one in France the week after that. Yeah, and then the last chance to qualify for the Olympia is the Legion Sports Show in Reno, Nevada, October 7th. So it's 3 more shows. And these 2 shows that are left, Nathan and Regan have both said they're both doing both of them. So Nathan is going to do all 3, and Regan is going to do all 3 of those shows. So they both have 2 more shows. It'd be interesting to see if Regan can beat Nathan at one of these 2 shows coming up, or if Nathan just wins them all, or if somebody else comes along that we're not even thinking about and beats both of them.
And I've seen that Sergio also is back in shape, so I guess he's going to do the last in US or I don't know where else.
He should do the Legion. Well, I mean, he's in Dubai, so I guess nothing's close for him, right? But the Legion Sports, I think if I were Sergio, I would go back to Legion because that's where he got beat by Sean Clarita 2 years ago. And people were saying, and he had said, like, I'll retire if a 180-pound guy beats me, and he did beat him, and he didn't retire. But I don't know, that'd be a good show for him to come back and win because Sergio's not getting any younger. We both think he has a fantastic physique, so much potential, and we want to see him on the Olympia stage. He's only done 1 Mr. Olympia show so far. But and Nathan, it's good to see Nathan because we haven't seen Nathan on the Olympia stage since 2019, I think it was. It's been a while. Yeah, because he's had some issues going on. He had legal issues, then he tore both of his biceps. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could see one. It was this one. Was left this arm. This one's a little retracted. You could see in his frontal bicep just a little bit. You could see it.
For Regan, he did major improvements.
Yeah, and I thought so. I was commenting with Milos, his coach, on the pictures, and I said, "What did you do?" Because they only had not even an hour. He said it was like 30 minutes between the judging, and then they came right back. They didn't even pause. They went right back into finals for men's physique, finals for bikini, and finals for men's bodybuilding. So Regan, they only had 30 minutes to make any changes. They just put another coat of tan. I thought he was going to use diuretics and get the water out because Regan looked harder to me at the finals, which was less than an hour later, but it was just the tan. Just the tan made him look that much better.
Oh, perhaps the posing, you dry out.
Yeah, I mean, but I thought Nathan won fair and square. I love Regan's physique, but I don't have a problem with Nathan winning. That's his 10th pro win. 10. So good to see him. I hope he's at the Olympia. Hope everything's cool. Yeah. So yeah, I just want to walk around at the Olympia. I'll be happy as a clam if I can just walk around and see you and everybody at the Olympia this year. That's all I want to do. Just walk on two legs with no crutches or anything. Yeah. So cool, man. All right. That'll do it for this week. Guys, if you have questions for the next week's episode, please leave them in the comments. Leave comments anyway. We love to hear your feedback. It doesn't always have to be a question. We like to hear what you guys got to say, any suggestions, ideas like that. Like the videos, share the videos, subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on. And of course, doctor, thank you so much. Every week you're here answering questions that very few doctors on planet Earth could answer for these people. A medical doctor who's also a champion bodybuilder, walks the walk, talks the talk. So that's it. Thank you, Dr. T. Thanks everybody for watching Ask Dr. Testosterone, starring Dr. George Tsoulianos. We'll see you next time. Hey, did you like that video? Smash that like button, subscribe to MD, and please comment down below. Thanks for watching.